so we wouldn't have to tie it every time. But it works either way. Gotta find my thing. Okay, I was thinking about it, I was thinking about that scripture, Matthew 4:19, about fishing for men and stuff like that. And I'll read it again because it's a part of my message. It says, I'll just read it from the beginning. And Jesus walked by the Sea of Galilee and saw two brothers, Simon called Peter and Andrew his brother, casting nets into the sea, for they were fishermen. And then he said to them, follow me and I'll make you fishers of men. Fishers of men. So what I like to do is I like to take Jesus' words that he says and figure out, what it is beyond what it is on the paper, So we all know that most of us probably know that fishing for men means fishing to bring people into the kingdom, discipling, sharing his word, fishing for men. But why do so many Christians not know how to fish for men? Like in that little skit, like I was playing the person who had no idea, who took everything literally. Like, why can't we fish for men? Why is it so hard? Why is it so hard to go up to your neighbor and be like, yo, do you know about Jesus? I'm an awkward person, so I can attest. Is that the word? I don't know. I can say that, yeah, it's hard. It really is. And a big misconception about I think this is one of the reasons that fishing for men, discipling, is so little in the church, is because the biggest misconception is that to bring people into the kingdom, you have to have a mic. To bring people into the kingdom, you have to have an audience. That's not true. Because you can go into your local Walmart and then have someone in front of you, and they're having a bad day, and you can tell it. You have two choices, and that's to either talk to them, brighten their day, they're showing them the love of Jesus, or just kind of let them have their bad day, and it'll get better. But you don't have to have a mic to say that. I know it's weird because I'm having a mic and I'm saying that, but you get the point. When you fish in the natural, you can't just okay, I'll pick up this rod, because this is my rod. This is not my rod, but it's my family's rod. You can't just throw this in the water and expect all the fish in the pond to get it. First of all, it doesn't have a hook. Second of all, the float is going to keep the entire string above the water. Third of all, you don't have bait, or even one of them fake little worm things. You will catch nothing. Nothing will come to your rod because there's nothing on the rod. There's no hook, there's no bait, there's no nothing. And you have to know, and even if you have where's the bag? Oh, it's over there probably. Even if you have all the stuff that you need, even if you have the rod, even if you have the hook, the floats, the worms, all the stuff that you need, you still might not catch something depending on what pond you're fishing in, because there's different kind of fish. Now, I have a pawpaw, and he is obsessed with fishing, and I go fishing with him all the time, and he is so knowledgeable about all these kind of fish. I'm like, how do you know this stuff? One time I was catfishing with him in our pond, and I love catfishing. It's so fun. And I was catfishing, and I was throwing my rod. He's like, why are you throwing it over there? They're over there. I'm like, how do you know that? He's like, well, at this time of day, they go over into this little area over here, and they eat their food, and then they come back into the middle over here. I'm like, how do you know this? Are you swimming underwater with them? What's happening here? But he knows how they work. He knows that, okay, when the sun's going down, they're going to be over here, and when it's coming up, it's going to be over here because of this, that. But I don't know all that, but I do like fishing, so I fish with him because he knows all that. And the point is, if we're comparing fishing for fish and fishing for people, that tells us that we don't just have to be prepared. We have to know what we're talking with, what we're doing with. It's like you can't just, okay. So imagine that you have this friend that used to be a Christian, isn't a Christian anymore, and you have this friend that's never heard of Jesus in their life. You wouldn't talk to them about Jesus the same way. You would tell your friend that doesn't know anything about Jesus, you tell him about his goodness, his mercy. You tell him about how he died for you. And then your friend that already knows about Jesus but left the church, you would tell them similar things, but with certain things that they know are a bunch of that stuff already. You have to know who you're talking to, and that applies with everything. with not just Christians and non-Christians, but with everything you can imagine. Like, yeah, so. But again, if we're going to compare fishing to, telling people about Jesus, the most important thing in fishing that you can ever do is patience. Because without patience, you will catch nothing. Because if you just throw it in the water and then immediately rip it back out and throw it in the water and immediately rip it back out, you might catch something on a slim chance. Slim. I've done it once. But most of the time, you're not going to get anything. Most of the time, you're sitting there, you throw your rod out. Hour later, you're still sitting there with your rod out. 4 hours later, you check the bait. If it's still on there, it's probably not. Put it back on, throw it back in the water, and rinse and repeat, and rinse and repeat. Oftentimes, we get frustrated with our friends, our family, the people around us when we're so excited about Jesus. We're like, Jesus is so good. He's so amazing. He saved my life. He did this and that. And they don't want to listen. So we get frustrated, and we're like, why don't you understand? Why can't you hear me? And we get so frustrated that it makes us want to give up, and then we do give up a lot of times. And we're just like, whatever. And we'll, get better, and we'll, put your little pity party hat on because you didn't get what you wanted. But that's why not just talking to people about Jesus is about discipling, but praying for people. Because if you just talk and you talk and you talk, people talk all the time, okay? But prayer does something. It changes the atmosphere around a person. It can change the atmosphere in an area, in your house, in your life. Prayer can change things. Prayer is like the line on your fishing rod. Without it, you're throwing nothing. So when you talk to people, you don't just talk to them, because if you just talk to them, then they're just going to see you as another person just talking. But if you talk to them and you pray for that person, if you pray for that, and that's a lot of times when we get frustrated because we throw out rods without lines. We push Jesus in people's faces without putting prayer behind that, without putting love behind that. And oftentimes we forget that we were once fish in a pond called the world. We were once fish. And we get all high and mighty and be like, oh, I'm a fisher of men. We used to be a fish of fish. Okay? Calm down, buddy. Get off your little high horse. Because Jesus saved you before you could save anybody else. So, yeah, that's the thing. And, see, this is a very short message. I'm already, almost done because I like short messages. Mostly because I don't like talking very long. But if we go back to Matthew 4:19, if you just look at that scripture a little closer, that's a lot of things in the Bible that we miss is because we don't look at them just a little closer. Just a little bit more think into it, just a little bit more, because it says, then he said to them, follow me, and I'll make you fishers of men. I'm going to read that again. Then he said to them, follow me. And just end it there. Oftentimes, we ourselves don't follow God, and we're pushing in other people's faces, but ourselves don't have that posture of prayer, that posture of worship, that posture of I'm following you no matter what. And no matter which turn you take, no matter which move you make, I'm right behind you, God. Oftentimes that we tell people, follow Jesus, follow Jesus, follow Jesus. But then on Monday, we're like, okay, we'll follow Jesus later. On Sunday and on Wednesday, we'll follow him then. But then on these other days, these are mine. But then God's like, okay, I can't do anything about it. I'll just wait here for you to follow me. Because it doesn't say, here's something. It doesn't say, come here. It doesn't say, come this way. It says, follow me. It makes you have to make that step. It makes you have to push the first way, because God's not going to make you come to him. God's not going to make you fish. God's not going to make you do anything. But he's going to tell you, follow me, and it's your choice by your might that you take that step and that you keep going and that you stay behind God, even when it's hard, because it gets hard. It gets so hard, so difficult. But we keep following him because that's what God calls us to do, is to follow him. And no matter where you are in life, if you look at Peter and Andrew, they were on a boat. They were fishing because that was their livelihood. That was what they did. They fished. And that's all they knew how to do. But then this guy, just think this guy, this random dude, just comes up, walks beside them, yells out to them, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." Now, if it was you and me, we'd probably be like, "Who's this dude? What's he talking about? Why is he saying, 'Follow me, and I'll make you fishers of men'? What's that even mean? Like, fishers of men? I feel like that's illegal. Like, if that was us, we would ask a bajillion questions. But guess what it says that they did? They immediately left their nets. Immediately. Immediately. That means they didn't say, "Hey, what do you mean?" They didn't say, "Who are you?" They said, "God said follow me." They said, "Drop." Okay. Would you do that to just a random stranger walk up to you? If they said, "Follow me," would you follow them? No, because that's how you get kidnapped. But this is Jesus, so that's, you wouldn't get kidnapped with him. But no matter what that boat represents in your life, no matter what that net that you're casting out, no matter what that is, whatever that thing that confines you, the thing that tells you you're only going to fish for the rest of your life, you're only going to be this way for the rest of your life, you're only going to have depression and anxiety, you're only going to do this, blah, 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 blah. You get the point. Whatever that boat is, God is walking on the shore saying, "Follow me." And he's not making you get out of the boat, and the boat's not holding you back. You're holding you back. You get out of that boat, and you walk to Jesus, and you follow him. And I'm not saying you won't have problems, because the disciples had problems. Like, I think it was Peter, wasn't it? Peter or Simon, it was one of them two that denied Jesus like 3 times. They saw him do miracles. Not in 3 times. Can you imagine that? Like, you see Jesus do miracles. You see him down on the cross, and when someone says, "Hey, do you know that guy?" And they're like, They deal with problems just like we deal with problems when we follow Jesus. So whatever that boat is, whatever that holds you back, whatever that tells you that you're only going to do this for the rest of your life, get out. Follow Jesus. He's waiting on the shore. He's waiting for you, calling out to you. He gave you the first word. You did the first step. You meet him halfway. And then once you follow him, it's not going to be easy. God never said it was going to be easy. But once you do it, you become a fisher of men instead of a fisher of fish. Because you can fish for fish all your life and you'll get nowhere. But when you start changing lives and people, that's what matters. And whether that person be the person in the driveway, maybe that person's the person at the drive-thru just showing kindness. Discipling isn't just telling about Jesus, it's showing Jesus through your actions. And that's like all I got, so. I literally thought of this message at Dairy Queen, so. Heather was like, "You got to do a message." I'm like, "Okay." And I was like, just eating my hamburger, and I'll just help her God. Fishing for men and people, compare that. I'm like, okay. Sure.
Good job. There's so much wisdom. I get just blown away by all the wisdom and knowledge that each teen has to go along with this.